Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the World Cup. Nice, the World Cup. I have been watching too much football lately. Welcome back to Wild Boys Console League, where my name is SiNO. I'll be doing everything behind the desk today. We have two very, very good teams going head-to-head in only one map. And that one map will be for the ages to remember. It'll be 5.2 versus Castaway CC. Should be a very exciting day. And let's see what map we have on the board for us. Only one to prove themselves, and the proving grounds will be on Bank. No other map like Bank, where there's a lot of different areas you have to worry about onto the map, and it's exciting to see how teams usually like to approach it. Let's get these players situated, and by the time you get your votes in by either putting a 1 or a 2, we'll have it all set up, and we'll be back when that happens. We finally hit the ground running. 5.2 versus CC, and we get the job done. Ban phase will come on in. Since the new mid-season patch, we can see so many different ideas of what these players want to do to make sure the other team doesn't find joy, and I'm excited to see what that idea will be. I'm excited to see what this will look like. For those of you who missed the pre-show, my name is SiNO. This is a best of one series, and you are watching the WCL. We have a bunch of games coming up this week. I don't know what I'll be taking, to be honest. I take 2 Castaway games, then I kind of see what else I can do, but we might bounce around from SSL, use my July, because, you know, I'm an incoming university student, so I may not have the time to cover games in the fall time, so I may take a bunch of games, even though I did say I wasn't coming back to console. We might have to see. I've been enjoying the gameplay we've seen here, and if we compare in leagues like Kyanite last year and the year, actually Kyanite was 2 years ago, if we compare the quality of Siege we were seeing there and the quality of Siege now, it's like the players have really been evolving, and it is a lot more entertaining. It makes it a lot more respectable to bring in casters from PC, so it might be a different venture that I bring in different people to be able to experiment and explore the ins and outs of console, because it's been an absolute pleasure to watch teams like 5.2, teams like The Order, CC, Yardigan, NLG, X. There's so many different teams that really show us what they can offer, and that really does show us how important innovation really is within the console scene. So I'm up for promoting it right again, but it needs to be a nice environment for us to do so. Now, with Bank, there's now 2 ways to play it, or there was always 2 ways to play it, but now there's a more, let's say, staple way to play it, which is bring back the 20-second meta. For those of you who don't know what the 20-second meta is, you pull up as much utility as possible in the site, and you hunker down. And you force the attackers to drone the entirety of the upper floors to look for the roamers and look for the utility all in 3 minutes time. So by the time they get to that site, they only have 20 seconds to rid of all of that utility they go up against. Now, with Goyo, Smoke, Wamai now getting buffed as well, there's so many different ideas on how you can hold this. But right now for CC, they're doing the complete opposite of the 20-second meta. They're doing the 2-minute meta. They want to meet a body in the first 40 seconds of entry. And I'm quite interested to see how this will go. Zoli looking to enter the building first. It's kind of refreshing to see him off of his default name, which is usually DH3, and I usually think of DHL, the shipping company, but now I get to actually see him for his name. And we'll also have Freeway, a little Dala, Abolish, and Tachanka, which I am pretty sure is Kiz. C4, Abolish will finish what he started with that TCSG and gets first blood. Breaks the silence very fast, 50 seconds into the round. They could pull off completely, and they're starting to find joy as clearing off this utility might be an issue, but Foreign, who else to break the silence but Abolish doubles down. The player who almost broke 20 kills last week. His team couldn't find joy as they got swept off their feet, but it was soaring even if he was on vacation. He'll take the first Jago payload and be forced to just relax for a bit as he approaches different ideas. Approaching that 90-second mark, Dokkaebi has already exhausted 2 calls, and as they continue to try to pick the site open, they're losing numbers one by one, but Stretch finally starts to reel things back in. Abolished will fall. His teammates realize this and decide to peel off of open area to give that real estate over to the attackers, which means they have the hatches for free, but they've lost 2 bodies in the way, and that global intel may be a problem. Oh, what a shot, Vizsla. Should never be peeking that Nike. That's a name I haven't seen in a while, but no first impressions as his head is chopped off. Re-establishing the deficit for 5.2, leaving CC in an advantage position. All they got to do is continue to run down the clock and find joy. 50 seconds remain, and they look to continue. But still, no joy as of now. Yuri is now going to be sitting in blue, and the question is, do they know? It should be default that there's always a player sitting up here, but he's done so well at preserving all of this utility, he can sit here and play to the death, and that would still run the clock expire. The first call will come through. He has enough health in the pocket to be able to eat it and not be called for the remainder of the round. We're getting below that 30-second mark. He'll eat it, but won't get affected by the after effects of the fire. And there's still Vulcan canisters these players need to worry about. One player has touched the ground. Now make that 2. One will get caught off. You can't say the same about Stretchy as he'll go nuclear with 3. Leaving just Freeway. ISO to do the job. Now Stretchy has the case and can try to plant and isolate, but it's all about closing out that real estate. Freeway, where are we? What's the job here? You're in the red time. You need to kind of pick up the pace as you're also lagging. Talk about adding insult to injury. Not much you can do as he's moonwalking in the middle of the site. Stretchy from beginning to end showed us why the Dokkaebi is such an important pick. A quad kill for him. Saves 5.2 by the skin of their teeth. And CC go down a man. Interesting to see how this will play out. While we get this player situated and let's see how Freeway's internet will look to fix itself. The votes are still open. You either put a 1 for CC or a 2 for 5.2. I'll give you guys a second chance. We'll be back as soon as possible. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this first round. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is SiNO. You guys missed that first round. Some tomfoolery from CC. It's been a common idea where they've kind of been doing such a good job at being able to find all of the utility that the attackers present, run down the clock, and then when push comes to shove, when they get to that point of denying the final execute, they struggle due to individual brilliance by a member of the other team. This time around, it was Stretchy ripping up that site. A quad kill, one in the beginning and a triple in the site to win his team out the round. Now CC needs to respond, and they continue to go with a 2-minute meta instead of a 20-second. Yes, I just made that term up. The 20-second meta is a very real thing in Siege, but the 2-minute meta, I made it up because I've never seen a team so aggressive on Bank especially when they have Wamai and Goyo on the board. Yes, you forfeit the hatches with Kaid, but you can also rely on the amount of sheer utility that you could bring. You could brand out a Brava and bring out a Maestro into the site. There's so many different things that you could do, and right now that's just not the idea for this team. Foreign and Zoli, a same exact idea is to funnel into the building one by one, try to present themselves as fast as possible to force the mistakes. Look at them continue to force certain errors on areas of the map, but still, no joy as they need to continue to look for the first pick without sacrificing a body. And it's essential that they don't lose Zoli like they did earlier. Now, Abolish is the one that sits in elevator and could be the biggest problem for Zoli to deal with. And they know where he is due to that drone that comes in, and that's why, kids, droning is key. But when it's Abolish, you're gonna need a lot more than just a drone. As this player rips heads off for fun. Almost broke 20 kills last week and looks to continue to force off that pressure, but will fall off because Dala got that pick. And now we'll just continue to spray. Zoli getting full blinded. It'll be Kiz to double up, and now they've gotten big. The attackers struggling to even clear out archives as two of them fall. One on the intel and the other with the intel dump. So you know it's two important picks, but still, to be able to get these picks so early on, you give credit where credit is due. Now Vizsla, Dala nearly make it a flawless round, but Shucks gets rid of Abolish to say no. We'll get a second to down out Vizsla, but he's given a second chance at life, so everybody is forced to peel off, leaving just Shucks. No HP, a minute to get the job done. What can you do? You know where two players are. The third can use a common denominator that they're in the site, but it won't matter. Kiz swings out and takes his head off his shoulders. Right now, CC finally found their footing. They'll strike back, and 5.2 are going to need to bring a lot more teamwork rather than rely on somebody like Stretchy, somebody like Zoli, or anybody who looks to find individual prowess. Otherwise, this may not even be a BO1. This might just be a 1 hour match that we say good night to a lot quicker than we had anticipated. Head on over to round 3, where you can only imagine how they'll hold the upstairs site. If they're that aggressive on the basement, what is their main idea? What do they want to do that presents itself as an issue to the opposing team? That answer lies in their setup picks. Now, they have that Jaeger, who's recently been buffed to be a 3-speed operator, meaning he's faster. He can place his utility down faster, and he can get the job done faster. Get all this utility down and go find somewhere where you can play a lot more aggressive. It's exactly the type of player I want on my team. Abolish almost broke the third wall. I thought he was looking at me. Players obviously missing from this roster will be Comb and Crypto. Although I assume they're in the chat supporting from home here tonight. CC is blessed to have such a composed 5 with substitutes. It's insane to me. I mean, I see all of these players, including the 5 on your screen, plus Crypto and Comb, to mesh together so well. I'm sure I'm missing one more person, but they all play so well together. They know what to do, but it's all about just putting things on paper and not dying to solo moments of brilliance just like that. I mean, if that was a double kill for Zoli, this round is basically over as you've lost Jandy control and 2 critical operators this early on. But losing Abolish with a C4 and that TCSG so early on is just so important. The gun is that important. The gun does so much DPS at range, and to be able to have that utilization at space, it's honestly a very big loss for the team to have to deal with. But Dala is able to get it back in blood and get rid of the Twitch and their fragger all in one round. Now get rid of the second entry and you're in a safe haven. Vizsla looking to put in pain. Usually the player you see in sight, or at least when I was casting console back in the day, he was the player that played a little bit softer, looking to find joy, but the 2 players that double up one outside and inside square will rid of that player that tries to lurk on the flank. And Cormate in the meantime needs to get this wall open. The plant ideally wants to go down where that breach gets open because you can play on that default. But Jaeger's gonna be a problem. Strikes with the whiff, almost. But it'll be Kiss to finally strike back, and the headshot will be a refrag later in the round, but has nowhere to go to try to seek refuge in Janitors, but gets shot in the back by Stretchy to finish the job off. Dalla barely clinging on to life, but guess what? You don't need him. It's just Freeway. Prove yourself. You know what you want to do. It'll be the mute to strike back, leaving Stretchy on the exterior of the building. He'll catch Dalla off guard, just leaving a one-player man advantage, and a wallbang from Stretchy. Oh, I feel an MVP performance coming. Destroys anybody and everybody that walks in his path. 2 rounds solely dictated by one player from 5.2 and CC. They're doing so well until he gets that final third. Stretchy's putting in the pain. A round you never want to see crumble at the seams, but here we are. 5.2. Take another round off of the defensive campaign from CC, and that's not what you want to hear, especially on this map. You need to win them out as fast and concise as possible, and they have the right ideas. You can see it in their executes. But the aggression is just causing them too many unneeded picks, and that, in the end of the day, is costing them the rounds. Now, one of the main things I like to reiterate throughout the times on my broadcast, whether it's a BO1 or a BO3, is us being the viewers and the broadcaster, we are so privileged to see everything at a silhouette point of view. We can see the bomb site, the utility, used and unused, the drones, the operators, and we can see everything at the command of a button. These players don't. They have to do with just their UI and the comms that come in from their teams, and sometimes those comms may not even be perfect, so you may see some mistakes happen, and that is why competitive is just not for everyone. It does really show how communication is a very important part of this game, so keep that in mind. Every broadcast you watch, whether it be on console, PC, or even Pro League, it's always important to keep these things in mind. They'll head on over, back upstairs, won't try open area. A little confusing on that pick, as it is a zombie-free site. You could utilize a zombie. And it's Trip that I'm forgetting. I knew I was forgetting my GOAT, my Canadian duo. That play almost broke 20 kills. I mean, so many different moments of brilliance. And speak of the devil, Shucks with a long-range shot. Only has 100 HP to work with, and that's all he needs to deal with the DMR. He'll wipe Fizzla off the face of the earth. Beautiful first pick, but Nike is caught with his hands in his pants as it's Kiz with another refrag. The player is absolutely insane to be able to level it up for his team. Bandit trick failed and will take a little bit of HP off of Freeway, but not enough to put him in a critical position. Lots left to do here, and you see that one player trying to swing off of Janny, but walking through those Syria gates and into a hacked Banshee. It's certainly going to give your position away and maybe even guarantee your death with 2 operators waiting for you to make that mistake. Where you can sit close and use that shotgun. Same president applies to abolish. He shreds off Shucks and finishes the job that Fizzla started. Now just below 90 seconds left, and the man advantage is in CC's hands. Beyond important that they don't lose this man advantage. Otherwise, 3-1 deficit's not what they want to deal with. Freeway, make sure that won't happen, as Zoli will fall as well, alleviating the pressure from the ATM side. Now leaving one exterior player and Foreign also on the exterior, but looking to find entry first and foremost, as Stretchy looks to bait out a kill, but it won't work for him. He'll need a miracle. Won't even happen. Can't even enter the building. Square was only in possession of the attackers for a couple of seconds before it was repossessed by the hungry defenders to even out the scoreline. It remains 2-all. a game that I have a feeling is starting to heat up. I mean, I think the last 3 games I've had in the Wild Boys Console League has ended out 7-1, 7-0, and 7-1. So let's just say I've had 3 unopposed rounds, and we've already gotten past the halfway mark for that. We're currently sitting at 66% of the rounds that I've been able to catch in the last 3 weeks. So these 2 teams are finally giving me something where I'm actually excited to watch. Now CC switching things up. Now that they don't have Goyo to use, they'll pivot, put Vizsla onto the Echo, who not so recently received an extra Yokai drone alongside with a shield, a shotgun, and a fully automatic bearing. What more could you want? Now the idea is probably still going to be relatively similar to what they were doing, just now with an Echo who will probably sit in sight. They'll probably substitute out a player like Kiz to go upstairs and continue to hold down as aggressive as possible. Excited to see what this will look like under one lesser player upstairs, as this team is good at being able to apply the pressure offsite, but sometimes that risk to reward ratio doesn't pay off, and sometimes it's not worth it, and these guys may learn that quite soon. They can't finish this round off. Dala being the sole contact point for Dirt and is going to learn the hard way that there's 4 players looking to hit him with a blitz. But Freeway was in the corner of my eye. Didn't see that. Has the Toxic Vape to be able to utilize no gas canister yet. There you go. The first one will come in. The gas pipe has already been popped and no Vulcan, so no fire will be used unless it's coming from Nike's Flame Bolts. The players are doing the prep work to try to enter in through Dirt. 1 will remain. The others will try to obtain real estate on the uppermost floor and work their way down, I'll assume through blue, if they want to completely ignore the hatches. But in a take like this, you kind of have to take the players out from archives and work your way, knowing how important it is to have vertical control, especially when the hatch is already opened up for you. First pick. They'll take down Kiz, meaning you can no longer repurpose those F-Nauts for the remainder of the round and abolish the next point of contact. Looks to be the bigger problem, as not a single drone has found him quite yet. And Dala will continue to shave them off as they cross Marble. Now Freeway only has 1 Toxic Babe to rely on. And that could be an issue for the later stages of the round as this blitz starts to push in. Stretchy is becoming an issue. A perfect clear to get rid of Yuri. 5 on 3. 5.2 has done their pre-work very well, and Nike's chilling upstairs on that hatch, but Abolish could have a win con on his hands if he can deny this perfectly fine. They want to try to get a discreet plant here, so Vizsla needs to get on those sonic booms and get the job done here. Abolish, you need to do something. You'll get the first blood. First of all, there we go. I was going to say it's taking a little too long. The sonic boom finally comes into play. Nike with the biggest blunder that you'll see. But Zoli's upstairs to clean things up, leaving Vizsla in a 1v2 situation. It's a pseudo 1v1, and you can completely neglect that shield as he'll be the planter as well. They don't know where the Yokais are, so they'll have to assume and have to guess on where to deny the Echo. Now Vizsla knows this, so he gets off and tries to isolate, but Zoli continues to play a ring around the Rosie to draw him in and bring his team back up to full strength. 2v1. You need a miracle to be able to establish this, especially with verticality opened up at all angles. But hold on. If you can kill this blitz, you just have such a slight chance at being able to reel it back in. First flash used, and right now Vizsla can isolate so easily, and he will do so. Now 1 player sits on the hatch, but he can pocket defuse, and he has a shotgun to get that done. Now Vizsla, can you stick it? Is the question here. You'll look to get the job done, but the shotgun's the wrong choice of equipment at that range. Zoli closes it out under no pressure at all. Calm and composed as he'll break the deadlock and give 5.2 the lead yet again. An interesting round, a bunch of blunders, but it'll be 5.2 to walk out with the round afterwards. Quite interesting to see the turn of events there as they'll continue to show us what pressure means and what it means to turn up the pressure when it's warranted. As now CC need to tie it up to have an essential break-even half. Otherwise, they'll be having a great old time attacking this map, breaking even. be a little bit harder than we'll give them credit for, so hopefully they'll be able to get their act on straight. Otherwise, this might be a interesting second half to this game. They'll head back downstairs as the cycle hasn't allowed them to go all the way back upstairs to the offices. Curious as to why we haven't seen open area played out, as they still do have the Azami, and I know at least more than one of these players would be willing to play it. But nevertheless, we head back onto the same site. Wamai finally being seen for the first time. No shield. But they'll see that it's a similar approach if they can just C4 this blitz. Oh, they found so much joy. Explosion of that gas pipe, I can only assume, will break at least one piece of utility that sits up. It'll actually take care of both the Grismont and the Wamai disc. All Vizsla has to do is utilize that CC, but it's a very high risk and it's a very high reward if it can connect. But right now, we'll never know the outcome as Stretchy evacuates and goes right back up to the drawing board to help out his team clear out the map. They don't want any blunders like last time, and you also don't want to play like a Abolish heating up. Otherwise, you may be terrorized for the entirety of the match. Now, Dala being hunted down, taking initial damage, nothing to put him at critical positions. Kiz can't do the same for him as he's taking care, but Dala gets the instant refrag and Shucks responds with one of his own. That leaves us at a 7-man count advantage, slightly tipping towards the way of 5.2. Need to be able to reel things back in here, as you've lost critical utility that could have been used by the F-Nauts from Fenrir to repurpose them later in the round. I assume Dala had placed all of these Grismonts down, so can't say the death was insanely valuable, but losing a body in this game in general is already valuable in itself. So with just below 90 seconds, you guys are going to need to hit the back step. You're going to need to try to mitigate these circumstances as best as possible. And Freeway almost completely ignored my advice by getting his head chopped off and continues to lose the health here. In the first rounds, will they actually have the hatch closed, and they have no way to get the hatch open as Ace will need 2 Selmas, and he only has 1 remaining. All you have to do is play quiet, but Zoli says no, continues to force the mistake. They've opened up the hatch that prevents critical rotations as Shucks continues to just terrorize, rain the bullets down from above. A 4-2 split is far from what an evened out bang split looks like, especially coming from the attacker's side. Beautiful from 5.2. And it's going to have to be damage control from Castaway CC if they want to find joy on this map. A turn of events as these rounds went slowly from being back and forth to going lopsided in the favor of just one team. They look to continue to build off that lead, and the biggest question that arises with these types of halves is, can the team that leads maintain this level of pressure as they switch sides? If that answer can be yes, 5.2 are set up for the remainder of this game. We'll take our first round down to the basement, seeing a good assortment of picks with one aggressive player, so you have the best of both worlds, one to get aggressive offsite, and everybody else to bunker down and force those mistakes, or I could be wrong. They could just be going similar to what CC did, although that really wouldn't make sense with the denial picks being brought. Fuse being brought, I can only assume with a shield to plant in that corner and rid of all of the utility that sits close. With the Wamais, it might be a little bit hard for the full utilizations of those clusters, but still, even drawing those explosive pucks into the site can rid of at least 3 Goyos and maybe even a Yokai if you get lucky, maybe barbed wire as well. So Fuse being a criminally underrated pick, all you have to do now is get him successfully into blue without getting shot, and you might be able to find joy if you can play verticality beautifully. actually correct me, and we'll hop on the 8K, but I do assume the game plan will remain the same. Could use 3 of those clusters on that one blue wall and the remainder on the basement. But right now is going to have a harder testament as Abolish comes to the rescue. He was mid-reload, so Vizsla might have been wiped off the board a lot earlier than expected. But guess what? It's Abolish to show us how Team Chem can affect the outcome of a round. That's a critical pick so early on. Let's see if they can continue to pull off of this and build that pressure up. Nearly a minute wasted. You've gotten rid of the primary roamer. Now you need to find Nike, and you found Joy, and it's not even a hard roamer. You've essentially have to deal with a primary roamer, which you've rid of, and now you have the main one that's just soft, roaming in and around the map. Hasn't been able to find Joy, and at the first glance of pressure will peel off, knowing his body is more valuable than falling off. And there it is. Nike Boy forced to fall back down the stairs and could recommit, but it would be an interesting idea as they're already down a player and the blue push is yet to come. Time running down for CC to put their execute on paper. So it remains insanely important that they continue to fight back and try to get another pick onto a player that holds active utility like a smoke, like the Wamai. But right now, looks like Wamai's discs are all depleted. Zoli still has all of his utility with a minute left on the board. Not what you want to hear. Now Foreign will be the first point of contact on Marble Stairs. Loses one Yokai and has to deal with a player on Marble. The first shotgun will take one player down. Kiz barely clinging on to life. The explosive pucks will come into the site, but Foreign strikes back to even out that man count with just 40 seconds left. Losing Snake is so important, especially with the time clicking down just like this. You need to get rid of Zoli. You need to get rid of his utility. You've gotten rid of most of the utility that sits in the site. Not a single Volcan is close on you. The first smoke will come through as Vizsla looks to plant this out. Zoli, you need to send it. You need to know where. 2 kills rain on in for CC. It's a beautiful execute on the plant, leaving just 4 and by his lonesome to back out into gold. Reevaluate. Know what you want to do. Foreign says yes. He'll take care of Abolish. 3 more obstacles to overcome, and they're all playing keep away. Dala takes her head off your shoulders clean as CC closed down that deficit to just 1. What a game this has been. Both of these teams pushing the limits. And they continue to show us why they are amongst the top rated in the console North American scene. Let's see if they can continue this hold. As now, they have the opportunity to try their luck on another site or to stay on the same and win it out to force the mistakes from the opposing team. We'll head on upstairs as finally, I feel like it took a lot longer than usual to see an Azami pick come into action from some of these players. As CC isn't usually a team that prefers frags over straight utility. As yeah, it's common for players like Abolish to be the lurker to find Joy, but you need to have Azami, and it's kind of surprising that they didn't bring it at all. Now Zofia being brought, also an operator, I'm a little surprised not to see brought when 5.2 was on their attacking campaign, as she's recently received a buff, making her a very critical operator. And probably better than Ashe. The only thing that Ashe has over her is she can break mirrors, but Zofia now holds 3 concussions, 3 explosives, and 2 claymores, and has one of the heaviest hitting ARs in the game. So it really is about how you want to play this. Now, a minute burned off the clock, and a successful lurk from Abolish, so now his main role is to plant his feet and continue to support the team by allowing them to open up the breach and not have to deal with any nasty surprises like a C4 or a player lurking from below. Vizsla gets the breach open and gets out of dodge before the exothermic goes off, so you can establish external pressure without having to deal with this player. Now, Shucks shut out, almost had a kill onto Kiz, but the F2 prevails. 90 seconds left on the clock, and Stretchy being the point of contact is starting to become a little bit more weary as there's nobody to back him up. One player sits in stock and the other all the way at the depths of lobby. You need one of these players to get a kill, otherwise you have a lot of pressure to deal with. Stretchy pushed all the way back into Janitors, and Nike needs to get aggressive. Looks like that idea is well known. The question is, does Dala know that he's completely pushed out as access way has been established in Vizsla? Now looks to close out the real estate. Has one of 3 avenues, but they're all being covered. Now Dala goes down in stock, making this a lot worse. The Nike heats up, but Vizsla, the saving grace for his team, not before he slowly goes down. A 2v2, a beautiful play of resilience from 5.2. They're really completely back in as Clash becomes a very annoying operator to have to deal with now. You can probably see the idea flicker in CC to get rid of her a lot faster than you would expect as we approach the 3rd round bans after this. Now 30 seconds left on the clock, and Square has yet to be established fully as Nike peels off. One player decides to just hop in. Freeway wins the gunfight. Are you serious? You know where the first player is. Now Nike's on a triple, and Abolish has hit the ground in stock. He needs to take as much real estate as possible. You're in a 1v1. The player's low. And you have the aggression. You have the pacing needed. Abolish hits him with the crouch that he never expected. Catching the player off guard. Ridding them of all the utility needed. There's the round that CC needed so desperately to even things out. They'll go up to level, and their attacking campaign is looking a lot more sound. They'll have to deal with the Clash one more round, though, before they can ban her out. A game that just keeps on giving. We approach the second half of this map as both of these teams have not been willing to give up the lead. So now we head on into the dire part of the game where it really is make or break. 4-all is the scoreline. Can CC break the deadlock and take the lead for the first time since the first round? Or will it continue to be the utter domination from 5.2? Shucks. I'm being told that I've been calling Tachanka the wrong player the entire time. Hey guys, let's stop the mystery and let's please put our real names in so I can't, you know, misidentify the players. Obese Tachanka. How the? I should have continued calling him that. I tried switching them up, but apparently this is Uno. The only Uno I know is Uno Meister from G2 back in the day. So we're gonna refer as Obese Tachanka from now on. Unreal. There was another player. It was Zoli. Zoli was DH3 for the longest time until I figured it out by just clicking on his Discord profile. A minute burned off the clock. Not really anything explosive going on throughout the map. It's just util clear. Abolish not set on the Nook for the kind of lurk role. It only really works one round as the defenders kind of anticipate it. And Vigil somehow is alive, as if Abolish decided to look up for a fraction of a second, he would get shot in the face. And he continues to test his luck by trying to play in a lurk position, but is eventually forced to fall off back to site here. Players forced to try to find stock, and it's a lot easier as Nike, who had found a triple kill the round prior to this one, gets completely demolished. This Vizsla gets rid of him quite easily. Now that boss, you make no mistake, one shot, and look at how much health you'll lose. Looking to try to find easy real estate into the site, or to get into the site, my apologies, which he will do, but Shucks right now is looking to heat up on the double kill, doesn't decide to swing out as Tachanka will fall, leaving it at a 4-all with a minute left on the clock. One player should stop square and could punish this Vigil for getting a little too carried away, but it's Shucks with an outlandish shot. Gets rid of Vizsla, and guess what? Freeway's internet has decided to go bonkers yet again. Dala keeping the hopes alive for his team, and the Clash will deploy. A shield that you need. In effect, Abolish gets rid of Shucks, and hold on, they may not even need this external pressure. His internet's just... his internet's just tweaking. Hello! Oh my god, he's in the map, but it doesn't matter. CC, they're heating up. They've woken up. They've found themselves in the map. Stretchy, if you win this, you give your team the round, but Dala says no! Stock is his. He's invested and didn't sell his stocks yet, and guess what? It'll pay off dividends as Freeway's internet continues to tweak out, but it doesn't matter. CC strike back and get a round that'll put him one round closer to match point. Clash finally getting banned out, proving to be the worst possible situation right now for 5.2. It was the glue that was holding their team together, and not having that operator could prove to be a life and death difference to get the job done. But right now it doesn't matter. It looks like Freeway's internet is the main talk of the town. What a guy. Oh my. Really nothing that I can't even make it up at this point. I wish I could say it was scripted. I have a little surprise for you guys during the end. Just can't wait to show it. Sorry guys, I was very amused by my own creation. We like to do a little segment called the MVP of this current part of the game. And by we like to do it, I mean I made it up literally 3 seconds ago. As of now, we sit one round off of match point for CC or the max regulation. MVP of this game right now is Freeway Yuri and his internet that currently gives him 0 kills and 12k ping. Put a round of applause together. We're gonna print it out and send to him in a plaque. Really putting in pain for CC by sending Zofia concussions into the ground. I'm sorry, guys. Some things are just made to make fun of. But something you don't make fun of is this strategy. Lots of utility to break down, and time continues to run down for CC, but we know that they can turn up the heat when needed. pressure starting to become a little bit of a problem in blue, but the time is going to be the... Oh, no. I was going to say time is starting to become important now that you have so many players bunkered down, but losing a C4 is critical. No smoke this time around. I wonder what they'll be able to do, especially when those clusters begin to hit the ground, because they can also get rid of the yokais. Now that you've shut down all of the utility that could possibly intercept it, you don't know that they have a Wamai or a Jaeger, but you can try to assume. Luckily for them, there is nothing, but it wouldn't matter because Vizsla's already rid of most of the utility in sight, leaving these players to have to deal with all of this. And we'll have to try to get the execute down. But guess what? All of the flames would have subsided by that time as Abolish gets rid of Nike, the player who holds those flames, as the site is ablaze, but it won't matter right now. All of that utility is slowly but surely deteriorating for the attackers to get rid of, as now Vizsla has a cluster charge preset. So when that plant goes down, I assume it'll be a little bit harder to deal with. Now, Freeway, your EMP needs to come out now. You'll shut it down perfectly. Zoli decides to beeline it to Sonic. Boom. You're in the red time. It needs to be cleaned up. Who's on the hatch, guys? Who's doing damage control? It doesn't matter. CC strike back. Are we serious? He'll advance on to the match point. Almost disastrous, but a team that sets up so many safety nets is destined to succeed, as it will continue to pay off. As now 5.2 haven't found a round since the half. In CC go 4 rounds undefeated. Having a great jolly old time, as now 5.2 need to find 2 responses if they want to force this into overtime. Head on upstairs for the potential last round of this game, and I'm more inclined to side with CC, knowing how they dealt with the pressure from the clash that came last round, that they were on this place. Now there's no clash. I honestly am concerned for how this will play out for 5.2, but maybe the aggression is what they need to be able to bring this back. This is a concerning round. Still, though, MVP remains. You'll have Freeway's internet having a moonwalking in Calabasas as he slowly but surely progresses to the other side of the map. Speaking of the real MVP, though, you'll have 2. It'll be Dala and Abolish, who were tied for 13 kills apiece, but Abolish is hungry to break the record for himself, so he'll advance on to 14. Not a single player for 5.2 has broken double digits yet. It could be stretchy if he finds a kill this round, or it could be the end of this game. Oh, a minute burned off the clock, and lots left to do here. The player looks to get very aggressive. Vigil could find Joy if you time it right, but the concussion will do all the work needed for you as Vizsla takes care of Stretchy as well, and that's not what you want to see, especially in a game where you need to win 2 in a row. Well, 5.2, it was just working out so well for you guys, and it starts to crumble at the seams, and from there, you fail to mitigate the snowball effect as Abolish is going big with 3, wants to finish out with 17, but not possible as the flawless round gives CC the win. What a game that was for a team to be able to find themselves right at that half and attack flawlessly, dropping 0 rounds. Leaving 5.2 in the dust. What a game that was. I mean, 5.2, chef's kiss to your first half, but I mean, CC knocked it out the park after those first 6 rounds. They adapted on the fly. They realized that Clash was a strong point, so they rid of it, and they were doing so well to be able to actively adapt to 5.2's strategy when it came to defending. Even with Freeway's twerking Wi-Fi, he got the job done. Yes, I said that word. Yes, on broadcast. Do I care? No, because it's my channel. But at the end of the day, what a job and what a game that was. All the players that needed to rise to the occasion did, and that eventually gives them the points within regulation, which unfortunately brings us to the close of the night. I've been SiNO doing everything behind the scenes. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a follow, subscribe to support. We have the ad set to the lowest possible setting so you guys have the best viewer experience. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you guys tomorrow with another Castaway game, but for a different team in another league. See, I was trying to formulate that sentence before I said it, but I feel like we got it close enough. Have a great rest of your night, guys, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.